Good evening, everybody. It is 5:30. My name is Jeff Beal. I'm the superintendent for Jackson Public Schools. We've got a little bit of business prior to starting our board meeting, and I want to thank those folks from Sharp Park and our parents here. So every 6 months, we are required to have a hearing, a public hearing, which is what's going to come next, on our ESSER funds. And this is our last year of ESSER funding. And primarily, that's going towards resources in the district for to make up for COVID, for lost time, to provide additional supports for the staff and students. And this month, Julie Baker is going to lead us through the ESSER. I promise it won't take long. And as soon as the ESSER report hearing is concluded, we'll roll right into the school board meeting. So again, I really appreciate all the folks from Sharp Park. We'll get you guys up here in just a second, but Julie, if you will take it away and start us with the ESSER hearing.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for being here for our third 6-month update of the use of our ESSER 3 funds. I'm going to start by providing a little bit of history. Got to remember to click. And so ESSER 3 is one of 3 different funds, obviously. It's also known as the American Rescue Plan, and it was signed into law in March of 2021 as part of a $1.9 trillion stimulus package, which allocated $122 billion for education nationwide. And our portion of that, our allocation at JPS, was for $22.2 million. ESSER 1, the expenditure period for that wound up in June of 2022, so we're all finished with that spending. ESSER 2 wound up in June of 2023. ESSER 3 also has a 2-year expenditure period, which will end in June of 2024. So we are really coming to the close of all of our ESSER funding. Just a reminder that one of the requirements of ESSER 3 is that 20% needs to be allocated to address learning loss. You'll see a list here of allowable expenses for ESSER 3 funding. And what we did is we surveyed our community, we asked for input, and we generated a list of suggested uses for those funds. The areas that we focused most of our spending on were increasing mental health supports, adding instructional support for intervention or special education, addressing learning loss, and continuing to employ or hire new staff. And here is an update of our timeline. We sent surveys out to the community via mass email, JPS website link, and US mail on November of 2021, and then submitted our application in December of 2021. We submitted our use of narrative in February of 2022. Budget development and stakeholder meeting was held in June of 2022, and the budget was submitted. Our budget was approved and our grant funded in July of 2022, and the budget was amended in June of 2023. We expect that there will be another amendment to the budget sometime around January or February of 2024 as we get more specific numbers regarding some of the final expenditures that we're going to be making. So an update so far. Through November 22nd, just over $14.5 million has been spent or encumbered. $12.3 million was spent on staffing, including benefits. Approximately $321,000 was spent on software licenses. Approximately $52,000 has been spent on 2 years of AVID training. And once again, AVID is professional development for teachers to teach them strategies for students to address student learning loss. $80,000 was budgeted to outfit sensory rooms in several of our buildings. $1.4 million has been spent or encumbered on curriculum updates district-wide, which includes $150,000 for a secondary special education curriculum. And we are currently piloting elementary special education curriculum, which will cost an additional $350,000. We continued to add special education staff And a final round of curriculum updates, proposals for those will come to the board in January through March for special education, elementary, and middle school curriculum in math. And another budget amendment should once again happen sometime in January or February of 2024. But we are currently on track to spend all of our funds by June of 2024. And at this time, this is an opportunity for any input from the community, any questions that you may have. You don't have to have a slip at this time, but you can come up and join us at the table here if you have any questions or input that you'd like to offer. Seeing that there are no questions, I thank you for your attention.
Hello, I'd like to call this meeting to order. I want to thank you for attending this, and I'd like you to remember that if you want to speak during public comment, to fill out one of the little forms as soon as you get here, and then give it to Mrs. Oxley, and we will deal with that at the time. Okay, our pledge ceremony will be performed by Sharp Park Academy. Sharp Park. Please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. At this time, we'll have roll call. Mrs. Oxley, please.
Ms. Hamilton?
Present.
Mrs. Brown? Mr. Dobies? Ms. Acton?
Here.
Mrs. Mitchell?
Here.
Ms. Hunt?
Here.
And Mrs. Fitzgerald?
Here. Okay, at this point, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the agenda with the following amendment of moving action items 23, 24, 49, 50, and 51 onto the consent agenda.
Onto the consent.
We talked about them last time.
I have another amendment. Do we do that after his or?
Yeah.
So we have a motion.
Oh, here it is.
Support.
All in favor? Well, first of all, is there discussion?
Did you say 48 you wanted to, I wanted to discuss 48. City
No,
Board?
40,
Okay,
49,
thank
50,
you.
and 51, just the second reading on the policy changes and then the 2 painting projects.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Oh. Okay, motion passes.
Another
Uh,
amendment, then.
pardon me?
I have another amendment
Okay.
before we approve the agenda. I'd like
Good.
to pull the human resources from the consent agenda, 23, 24, 44.
Uh,
For the purpose of discussion?
Yes.
Is there something in particular?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So you'd like that into item 8 for discussion?
I think action. I think it has to go on our action item.
It'd be 9? Okay. Okay. Yep. Any discussion? No? Okay. We've support? Second? Okay, all in favor? Opposed, the same? Okay, passes. We go now to the superintendent's report. Oh, okay. Didn't we just do that?
We got 2 amendments.
Oh, okay. Let's just make
I-
sure. Approve the
Uh,
agenda as it, or
Move to
the
approve the agenda as
motion
amended.
okay.
Second.
We still got a second? We still got a,
Second.
any discussion? No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Now, superintendent's report.
All right, well, welcome to the month of December, and we are going to bring up Sharp Park Academy. Principal Jasper Lusby and crew, I want to again thank all the parents for bringing your children tonight. We love having you here. And Ms. Lusby, will you please share with us all the great things happening at Sharp Park?
Thank you so much for having us tonight. As we get started, I want to thank Lindsay Galicki and Tiffany Dolly for their support and leadership with Girl Scout Troop 6298. And if my Girl Scouts could please join me up here, I have a little token of appreciation in the form of a Girl Scout flag ceremony patch that will go on the back of their sashes. And the flag ceremony is a really important part of scouting, but it's also really important that our next generation understands their role in promoting patriotism and understanding how to honor their flag appropriately and correctly. So ladies, thank you so much for your time tonight and doing such a beautiful job in leading us in our Pledge of Allegiance. And I always start meetings with good things. And so there are a lot of good things I want to share with you that are going on at Sharp Park Academy just recently and over the course of the school year. Just this last week, our community closet, which has been completely run and organized by parent volunteers, was awarded a $750 grant from the Jackson Community Foundation to support the needs moving forward of our students. Over the course of this semester and through the end of the summer, 120 uniform bundles that contain 3 to 4 outfits each were distributed to children in need. A lot of people don't realize that we do have a lot of kids that we serve that don't have the resources that they need to have all of the clothing and the supplies that are necessary to be successful at school. And so these ladies have gone above and beyond to make sure that these children have what they need. Just recently, we have had a coat drive and an outerwear gear drive where we've collected over 100 pieces of outerwear that have all been distributed to children who need to be warm this winter. And so we're really grateful, not only for the donation from the Jackson Community Foundation, but from our parent volunteers who make the magic happen. Next up, we had our last day of Shop Rats, which is Lego Robotics that comes into the school. They've been there for 8 weeks every Tuesday for 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. And they get the opportunity to engage in problem solving and STEM, but it's all done under a collaborative operation using technology and brain power plus the Legos. So it's always really fun and engaging for kids and a great opportunity. We usually have parents that are coming in and supporting us with that activity as well. We are wrapping up our first session of our after school program where we had 30 students that were receiving extreme, intense intervention. We're going to kind of touch on that here in just a minute, but we've modeled our after school program this year after our intervention program. So it's really a mirror of what's happening throughout the school day during our intervention hour for students. So they're really getting a double dose of really high quality, in-depth, and prescriptive instruction to meet their needs. After school art club has been going on. That's happening once a week, and it's expanding and extending the content that our students are getting through the art class, and that's very well attended and very well received. The kids really love having the opportunity to go in and work on bigger projects. And then the one thing that I really want to spend some time talking about, and I brought my wonderful, fabulous instructional coach, who is the only person on this planet that I will share my spreadsheets with, here to talk a little bit about what we're doing with our intervention groups this year. And I want to start out by saying that this is a continuation of what we have already been doing with our intervention groups, but we have been able to add an additional layer with the addition of the materials that we received as part of our new textbook adoption with Open Court. And so we have worked really hard with not only helping our staff and our teachers implement the new curriculum in Tier 1, but also trying to bridge what's happening in the classroom with the students in Tier 2. So those children who require intensive intervention or who need to get some gaps filled because they don't have all of those skill sets necessary to be fluent readers are getting this extra boost, but it's highly, highly aligned to what's happening in the classroom. And so I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Slatt so she can talk about what's going on in the video and what she has accomplished with our paraprofessionals so far this semester.
I'm really happy to be back in front of you, but I'm even happier to tell you how much we're enjoying the adoption of the Open Court curriculum. As Jasper said, we've been working really hard to find ways to incorporate some of the routines for phonics and phonemic awareness into our small group instruction time, which has meant some pretty intensive training for our support staff who are all involved in those small group times, interventions, guided reading groups with the students. I brought with me today our sound spelling boards. I don't know if you remembered how excited I was about our sound spelling cards last year when we were talking about adopting this series. They're the cards that have a motion, a picture. Jasper's bringing our boards around that we've created. We don't have enough for everybody, but sharing is caring. So you can share with your neighbor. These cards have a sound, they have a motion, and they have a picture. So the students can associate all of those things with the sounds and the spellings that they're learning in the classroom. What you see in front of you, we've created, we received these stickers. And you know, teachers are on budgets always, and so we're pretty frugal and resourceful when it comes to figuring out how to make things last. So the coaches and I were trying to figure out how we could take these stickers and turn them into something we could use every day with the students. So what we decided to do at Sharp Park was we laminated them, and then we cut them out. We put magnets on the back of them, and if you lift up a magnet, you can see that on the computer. On my computer, I created just a little graphic on the bottom so the students can put them back where they belong. We use these to encode and decode. We use these to support in all the classrooms. These are hanging up on the walls. The children use them as a resource when they're trying to spell words, when they're trying to read words. So in small group, if you'll play along with me for a minute, this is kind of how we use them. If you say the word mat, say mat. Okay, how many sounds do you hear? At, mat. How many sounds? Okay, so how many spelling cards? 3. Okay, so I want you to find monkey. Find monkey, pull monkey down in front of you. Okay, find lamb. Lamb on your board. All right, hold it up. What's the sound? A. What's the spelling? A. Last sound, at, t. Okay, find timer. What's the sound? What's the spelling? T. And Open Court really reinforces that you use that language, sound, spelling, because what you're really doing is you're creating spellers for life, right? So each of these cards that are associated, if you were, for example, to spell with a short E, on our large card, our students can see that the spelling can be either E or EA for short E in words. And if you look at your board, the difference between the vowels that are short, those are green, and the vowels that are long are yellow. And our yellow long vowels, sorry, it's hard to manipulate everything. If there's a long vowel sound in the word, for example, my first graders in my group were working on the spelling of long A as A-E. And so we would write that on our board. When we hear this long A sound, what's the spelling of the long A sound? So put monkey back on your board. What's the sound? What's the spelling? M. Now, I'm going to give you one more example before we go to our video. Now, you're not a 4 if you are touching your cards and Mrs. Slat's not saying the sound. So, all right. This is really cool too. How about we find the word, we spell the word chip. How many sounds? Ch, it, 3. How many cards? 3. Okay. Ch, ch. On your board, chipmunk eating cherries. What's the sound? Ch. Uh-oh, there's 2 spellings for that one. What are we gonna do? Okay. Second sound, find the pig. And it's interesting because they use the vowel is a medial sound. And that's because 96% of the words in the English language, the vowel is a medial letter. So that's why Open Court does it that way. All right, last one is popcorn. Find popcorn. What's the sound? What's the spelling? Now, if you look at your CH card, I know that the TCH, if that's the spelling, there has to be a green card in front of it. Look at your word. Is there a green card before chipmunk? Nope. What does the spelling have to be? CH. So they give you all those spelling cues. We do these every day in our groups. These actually, when we gave these to the support staff, I did 2 30-minute training sessions with them. And then I visited them in their groups and I modeled the lesson for them. So then when they were ready to use them with the students, they had some time with training. So then they knew what to go, like how to implement them in their groups independently. So I have a short video of one of our wonderful support staff, Mrs. V, doing a lesson with 3rd graders using this. And she's doing a challenge word. The challenge word is a multi-syllable word. So the way that we learn to spell multi-syllable words is to break them up into syllables, spell them by the syllables. So you'll see Mrs. V doing that in her group. And she's working on the short E spelling as E and EA. Because we're going to have so many sounds. All right? Let me get you, here, you guys can use a pencil, okay? Doing this one for when we write it. All right, the word is bedspread. Bedspread. So this word is a 2-syllable word. Let's just, so what are our syllables? Bedspread. Bedspread. So let's just do bed first. All right? It's under your board. Yes, it is. Okay, so we're just going to do bed first. That's our first syllable. Okay? Sounds for bed. B. You can still pull your cards. That's okay. Yeah, you can still pull your cards and put them on your paper. All right, second sound for bed. E. Which card is that going to be? Hen. Yes. And our third sound. Right? Dinosaur. Okay, so there's our bed. Let's write that. Write that in that space next to it, okay? So that is just spelled just like how it sounds. Bed. B-E-D, right? Now we have to do
Spread. Spread is a hard one. How many sounds do we have in spread? Five sounds. So 5 cards we are looking for. All right, first sound, Aurora. Spread. Good. What card is that? Yes, our sausage card. Okay, Elizabeth, next sound. Yes, what card is that? Good, popcorn. DJ, third sound. Spread. Yeah, good. Which card is that? Robots, yes. Okay, and then we have next sound. Elizabeth? So that is our pen card. Yeah. I have to draw it after this. Yep. And then our third sound, spread. That is spread. Is our last sound? Good. Dinosaur.
Is this exactly how you spell it?
Now, with this one, when we do the spelling, we have to think about this sound. We're going to use our EA. EA when we spell it, right? To make that sound.
Can we
Good
clear
job.
up?
Yes, you got it. So let's write spread. Ready? S. What's next? P. R. What's our F? EA. D. Nice job. Do we have it? Make sure we have that EA to make that F sound.
Oh no, it failed. Now, one of the reasons we did this video, Jasper and I talked about this, and we could have done a video of me doing a group, but we wanted to show how our support staff is really the heartbeat of our building. And they're such a skilled set of women and individuals. If you give them tools and training, they can be so impactful during those small group times. And everybody has their own set of trays. After Christmas, I'm going to revisit the groups. We're going to do some more modeling. We do that consistently because how do adults learn? Adults learn by coaching and getting feedback. We also suspended the interventions when our open court coaches were here, and we invited all of our support staff to attend the trainings all day so that they could see how these were being implemented in the classroom to further support those in their groups. So thank you.
So in addition to that, we have all of our support, our paras with their groups that have these trays, but we have several teachers that were like, hey, what about us? We want to do that too. And as I'm walking around in the after school program, I am seeing the teachers using this as an additional cycle for those kids. So they're getting so much quality intervention with regard to that phonics and those phonemic awareness skills that are going to help them be good readers, writers, and spellers. So I want to just extend so much thank you to Mrs. Slatt, who is my right-hand man when it comes to the interventions, but also to our paraprofessionals and our support staff for all the hard work that they do in working with those groups each day. They do a fantastic job. At this point, I would like to introduce Miss Chris and the Spanish class. Me gustaría presentarles a la señora Sánchez, nuestra profesora de español. Ella está trabajando con nosotros para el segundo año y está con nosotros desde España. Ella trabajó duro con los estudiantes para enseñar el idioma y la cultura de los países de habla español del mundo. Tener un segundo idioma es una gran ventaja para los estudiantes a medida que continúan su educación en Parkside, JHS Colegia y Moss Ala. Nos sentimos muy afortunados de que nuestros estudiantes de Sharp Park Academy tengan esta oportunidad. I did not have the good fortune of learning Spanish in a classroom. I learned it by speaking it. But we are really fortunate to have Miss Chris come. And what I said was that she is our Spanish teacher from Spain. This is her second year working with us, and our students are really fortunate to work with somebody who is so knowledgeable about the language and the culture of other Spanish-speaking cultures to work with our students. So at this time, I would like to invite Miss Chris and the Spanish Club up. They have a presentation for you.
Okay. Good evening. Buenas tardes, and thank you for having us and having me. Gracias por tenerme aquí. We are very excited. Estamos muy emocionados. The Spanish Club, they want to show us how they answer some questions in Spanish. For example, I say, número 0, ¿cómo estás? What did you say? Surya. Lily. Audrey. Alana. Alice. Paige. O Kenzie. Número 1. ¿Cómo te llamas? Charlie. Macy. Rayela. Lily. Surya. O Leila. Ok. Número 2. ¿Cuántos años tienes? Paige. Años. Charlie. Audrey. Leila. Lenny. Alice. 10 años. Lily. Charlie. Número 3. ¿De dónde eres? Charlie. Good. Lily. Rayela. Surya. Ok. Número 4. ¿Cómo se llama tu colegio? Kenzie. Número 4. Alice. Lily. O Surya. Ok. O número 5. ¿Qué día es hoy? Audrey, ¿qué día es hoy? Sí, muy bien, Charlie. Muy bien. O número 6, ¿qué tiempo hace hoy? Lily, ¿qué tiempo hace hoy? Sí, muy bien, hace frío. Hace frío, es cold. ¿Cuál es tu color favorito? What is your bueno, ¿cuál es tu color favorito? Favorite color, Leila. El azul, Surya. Sí, Alice. Muy bien, Lily. Good, Brayela. Sí, Charlie. Macy. Good, perfect. Audrey. Good, Lenny. Good. Número 8. ¿Cuál es tu comida favorita? Your favorite food. In Spanish, Lily. Muy bien, you like the salad. Very good. El pavo, the turkey, good. Leila. El taco, good. Número 9. ¿Cuál es tu estación favorita? What is your favorite season, Audrey, in Spanish? La primavera, the spring, Lily. El invierno, the winter and the fall, yes. Surya. El invierno, the winter, Kenzie. La primavera, sí, Alana. Invierno, sí. O ¿Dónde vives? Número 10. ¿Dónde vives? Charlie, ¿dónde vives? Oh, Lily, ¿dónde vives? Tommy, ¿dónde vives? Good. We had many questions, the last one. Sorry. Oh, ¿cuántos países hablan español? How many countries speak Spanish? Lily. 21. Dime uno. One. España. Paraguay. México. Cuba. In Africa, there is one country that speaks Spanish. Charlie, sorry. Sí. España. Okay, so you know many things. Okay, so and now they want to say you one thing. It's Charlie. Oh, with Surya.
Buenas tardes, señores del Consejo Escolar. Hoy los estudiantes del colegio Sharp Park queremos cantaros una canción para felicitarlos la Navidad. Esperamos que las gusten. Feliz Navidad. Today the students of Sharp Park Academy want to sing you a song to wish you a Merry Christmas. We hope you like it. Feliz Navidad.
Muchas gracias a Ms. Chris y todos los estudiantes de Sharp Park Academy. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to show us all the good things that are happening at Sharp Park Academy.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Awesome presentation. Thank you, Dr. Howell.
All right. And want to thank very much. I want to say thank you to the parents for sharing your students with us and allowing them to come in and share their talents with us here tonight. That concludes the superintendent's report for the month of December. Ms. Fitzgerald, it's on to you.
At this point, I am looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda. Support?
Support.
Any deliberation? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And we have moved human resources into the action category. Okay, now we go to citizens to address the board. We have two. We have Joni Grindello and William Hastings. Joni?
Thank you. Before I address the comments that I want to say about the superintendent evaluation, I just wanted to point out one thing I noticed tonight about the policy manual in regards to the administrative staff reduction/recalls. It says legal MCL 380.1248 as the reference. And actually, that statute is in reference to retaining effective teachers. It does not address administrative staff at all. So that is an incorrect citation, and I would request that the board review the actual law that addresses administrative staff and look at that. I have not been able to review the rest of the policy manual citations, but I plan to do that. And if there's any incorrections, I will let the board know next month. Now, for my comments about the superintendent evaluation, I just would like to discuss some barriers that I have observed, and I would also like the public to know about those barriers. I attended the work session last month for the superintendent evaluation. The meeting was a public hearing that was located at the ISD building that was not within the Jackson Public School District. It was located out by the Jackson College. It also was not at the main campus for the ISD. The main campus for the ISD is located by the Cascades Elementary School. So where it was located was actually 5.8 miles away. The main campus for the ISD from this location is 1.1 miles away. If the public would wish to participate in that, it is a significant barrier for anyone who is not able to transport besides a vehicle. The bus does not run as late as that meeting was going. It was difficult for me to get out there in time for work. It is a significant distance. I also would like to make people aware that when I arrived, it was my impression that nobody was expecting the public to show up. The room was not set up for public attendance. There was not agendas set out. There was not public comment things set out. So it's my impression that it's not expected for the public to actually show up to these work sessions. Upon my arrival, I was informed that after the roll call and public comment, the session was going to be closed to the public. Now, normally when there's a closed session for the public, it's noted on the agenda. And this was not noted on the agenda. And for any member of the public to come all the way out 5.8 miles from the regular location of a public meeting just to be informed that you're not going to be able to observe if you want to observe, which was the purpose for me coming here, that's a bit ridiculous for a public board to be asking members to do. So I sat there, waited, because there were some board members that were late, waited while the board ate their dinner, and just to watch a roll call and no public comments, because I was not there to make a public comment. I was there to observe. And the reason why I wanted to observe is because there's been controversy over the superintendent's evaluation and over his employment agreement. And I wanted to hear the conversation because we've been told that we were able to hear it and that we had access to it. The entire time I've been attending these meetings, I have not heard anything about that. I have not seen or heard conversation about the agreement. The one time a representative tried to put it on the agenda because her public followers asked for it to be put on the agenda, there was a threat of a lawsuit. And so it was not put on the agenda. There was no public discussion. And then we were also told that we can access that employment agreement, which would be through FOIA. The FOIA individual is Mr. Beal. And this is nothing personal. This is just about process. So for the process for a member of the public to know anything about the employment agreement and the superintendent's evaluation is to hear a summary from someone who may or may not summarize it the same way that they would hear it. And they're blocked out. And based on my observations, it was done improperly, and it's done with barriers for anyone who does not have the social or economic ability to participate in these hearings. That is a barrier. And in speaking of barriers, I know I brought it to the board's attention before that there's no sign out there to let people know where this meeting is. And that's a barrier. I know I forget every single time, and I just hope the elevator opens up on the right floor. So I feel like we constantly come up against barriers to the public for our participation. And whether this is true or not, it makes the public feel like the board is hiding something or there's something to hide. And that's not a good feeling as a parent in the school district. Thank you.
Thank you. William Hastings?
So I had, just want to make a public comment. It's going to kind of jump around a little bit and address a few different issues, but my public comment begins with the board comment of the last meeting and some things that were said. So first of all, Ms. Hunt made a comment that apparently there is a move in the Michigan legislature to require all parents to fill out a FAFSA form. Do you remember making that comment? You remember talking about FAFSA? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, I just doesn't. And I think that's a really good, an extremely important point because you indicate that you've filled out FAFSA in the past. I had to fill out a FAFSA form last October. It is a very complex and onerous form. Not only that, it is a legally binding federal document, unlike taxes. So to force people who have a child who may be entering the military, who may be leaving with a associate's degree after a 13th year, to force someone who is leaving with some kind of work certificate or from the from the career center, something like that, and to require those people or someone who's just going to work for their uncle's business or do something else altogether, but to force people to fill out a FAFSA it's really asking for trouble. We know there's a lack of basic numeracy in this country. There's a reason when you walk into Walmart between February and April, you see the table set up because people have difficulty filling out a federal, what's called the 1040 easy form. And subjecting people to this, where they're going to be subject to a possible federal penalty, including fine and jail time, is a terrible idea. So I had not heard that before your comment. So I'm glad you brought that up, and hopefully nothing much comes of that. And I just got a comment tonight. I had a lengthier comment tonight because there's a news story that the state is going to be forgiving about $114 million from 5 school districts that borrowed money from the community and are unable to pay it back or used it, made some poor financial decisions. And I was looking at this, and I was looking at the 5 school districts in question. And one of them was Benton Harbor. And I want to make an extended comment about Benton Harbor, which I'm not going to do tonight. But I'm going to come back and see. I'll be back to Benton Harbor in a minute. You'll see why. So there's a basic concept in business and finance known as stock dilution. An example of stock dilution would mean is if there's 100 million shares of a publicly traded company, and the company issues 25 million new shares, the value of those the previous shareholders' value of their shares is going to be reduced by 20% accordingly. That's stock dilution. So what I really want to talk about is an attempt to dilute the power of this board. So I'm going to go to the second comment, which is funny because I was going back to the YouTube video because I wanted to kind of get a handle exactly on what Ms. Hunt said and not, make sure I wasn't, misstating or misrepresenting. And right at the point I clicked, there was another board member who was made a statement that student voice needs to be vital to the board's work, and we need a student advisory committee, and we also need a parental advisory board. So you have to understand, if you're being asked to add an adjunct to this board called a student advisory board, another adjunct called a parental advisory board, that will dilute the power of the elected board members, and in turn, it will dilute the power of the voters who send them there. It is an undemocratic assault on your power and your authority. You need to reject that. So coming back to Benton Harbor, and I was looking at Benton Harbor, and again, I can't do a long comment about that tonight, but getting a big, approximately $20 million bailout from the state, and I was looking at proficiency scores. 97% of their high school students are not proficient in reading, and 97% are not proficient in grade level math. It was interesting though, as it's kind of like poking around and looking at their website and stuff, and I looked at the school board site, and lo and behold, there were 9 members. You said, well, what do you mean there aren't 9 members of a school board? There's the 7 elected members. You have 7, so you're not gonna tie, you're not gonna deadlock, and that kind of thing. Well, that's because they had two student advisory members on the board. So if you think it's a meaningful concept that's going to benefit you in any way, it's wrong. If this idea is allowed to proceed, essentially you're going to end up with a small done. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Hastings.
It's just hit my.
Okay, now we have some discussion items. Mr. Beal.
Okay, a couple of things, just we're gonna kind of move through these. They're in your packet is a draft proposal copy for managed IT support from All Covered. They are a division of Konica Minolta. If you remember back in October, we contracted with Konica Minolta to do an evaluation of our tech services, our network support services, and we really started to take a look at that, looking at how is this going to allow JPS to move forward. We know that we are not moving backward in technology. We know that from today moving forward, the technology is only going to be more and more complex. Again, I speak no ill of our relationship with the Jackson County Intermediate School District, which helps to run our technology collaborative countywide. But what we recognize is when we put ourselves or shoehorn ourselves into a countywide collaborative, what we do is we work towards the mean of everyone versus allowing our district to run as fast and far as it can. To that end, I am bringing this to you, and it would be my intention to bring forward a recommendation in January to switch our technology services from the Jackson County Intermediate School District over to All Covered. The cost on this is going to be about the same. I think in your packet there's an initial, there's some transition costs associated with it, somewhere in the ballpark of about $33,000. And then on a monthly basis is $35,000, $36,000. And that's pretty similar to what we pay now. There, minus the employee costs. Remember that we employ some of our own employees, and the ISD provides some employees from them. Konica Minolta would provide additional support. Man, if I can get my tongue to work. Konica Minolta, All Covered, would provide additional tech services at the fee of $8,800 per month per employee, which is again, pretty consistent with what we see in our current agreement. The couple things, and there's some unknowns as we kind of delve into this, because there will need to be some technology purchases moving forward. I mean, there's a couple of servers, 2 or 3 servers that we'll have to bring online, and a whole bunch of AP units, access points. I don't say a whole bunch, but there are several. And what we find from this work that we contracted was that as many as 400 to 500 of our APs are either out of date or soon to be out of date. So fortunately, we've had great conversations with Cisco about how to manage that and how to be able to maneuver that forward. So I'm anticipating that I would again be bringing to the board throughout the remainder of the year some necessary purchases with regards to technology, much like I would if I were asking you to purchase additional Chromebooks. These are simply devices that are out of date. At this time, the all covered managed proposal services, which again you have in front of you, is a draft copy, and there may be some slight changes. I'll point those out at the January meeting if there are any. And then otherwise, again, I would entertain any questions regarding all covered. If you have specifics and you want to come in and visit with me, if you want to visit with our tech department, if you want to visit with our staff, there's lots of folks who have some input into this, and it's not a project that we take lightly. Part of the reason I'll be bringing it in January is the agreement we have with the Jackson County Intermediate School District requires a 180-day notice if we're going to leave that contract. If we were to act in January, that would allow us to transition in July, which is the month we would prefer to do it, so that all of our tech issues, if you will, or that tech rollover could be managed in a time when students are not here and when our staff is not necessarily on campus, minus summer school for some of those folks who do that work. But that's the brief on all covered. And again, like I said, you can kind of go through that. I'd be happy to answer any questions either tonight, next month, or anytime in between. Are there any questions on all covered? Ms. Hamilton?
Is this different from what we already had, or how is it different? It seemed like we had a conversation about an IT transfer a couple months ago. Is this different? And then how so?
Okay, so same company. This is now a contract to actually provide services moving forward. What we did back in October was contract with all covered to do a full survey of our technology, of our network, every application, all of our systems, everything from what's in stock or rather what's current, what's not. Because if they're going to transfer everything over, if they're going to service it all, currently our network is commingled with every other district in Jackson and Hillsdale County. So it's really one network that kind of supports everything. And what we really need is our own network that allows us to have our own room for growth rather than, like I said, working towards that mean. So what you saw again back in October was the agreement to provide the survey for what we've got. And then now this is a contract based on that survey of how much they would charge us to manage that network.
That was a kind of like a fact finding type?
Yes, best way to put it.
And they were just trying to figure out, like you said, what's all ours or what it'll take to pull it over?
Correct.
And this is now the actual, we're about to start service with them and transfer everything over?
If the board votes on this in January, on January 16th, my anticipation is January 17th, the teams would start to arrive once we signed off on it. Because it's going to take, this isn't something you turn on one switch over here and turn on another over there. It's going to take several months to replicate our own network. Again, what makes all of this run is I'm not an IT guy, so I don't want to pretend to be, but there's a lot of code and a lot of configuration that happens in the background, and they have to essentially replicate that on just a JPS backbone. Again, right now, if you were to look, we're all in one Active Directory. So Jackson, Western, and so on around and that's not just Jackson County, that's Jackson and Hillsdale County. So there's some economic of scale that the ISD is able to use, but the reality is for us, what it does is it impacts how quickly we're able to grow. Or it impacts how quickly we're able to add cameras or add vape detectors or add door access hardware, things like that. And that's just the low hanging fruit because it can change how our esports works or how our classes are taught.
One more question for you.
Yep.
The cost that we covered there, it sounds like it must have been a one-time cost because it was a survey. And now this one is an ongoing cost. This is monthly.
Yeah, we contracted with them for $50,000 for 2 months worth of work. Now this would be a monthly recurring. And again, if I were to kind of extrapolate this out, and I'll get you the exact number next month, but it's actually a hair or two less than what we pay with the Jackson County Intermediate School District. It's comparable by the time we would add in probably an extra body to start the year because again, going with a brand new company, I'd probably bring in an extra tech to make it go smooth with the idea that once we were all transitioned, we would be back down to normal staffing levels.
Thank you.
Yep.
So I just had a question. So the total monthly fee is 35,000.
Minus if I add any additional people. Any additional people would be $8,800 all in per month per person.
So what's this other proposal for the monthly fee of 17,600?
That would be 2 staff members.
Okay.
So that's at 8,800 times 2. So
okay.
that would be my initial anticipation is I would take in the people we employ. So there'll be some JPS folks that we will employ, and then there'll be some all covered folks. So the additional 17,000 is that 8,800 times 2 people. And my anticipation is that's what we would start with. And then as we got our feet underneath us and kind of got the transition completely, then that would scale back. But that's where that number comes from.
So this is pretty much what we pay already?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and Marcus will get it. I'll have it before the Facilities and Finance Committee, and we'll be able to break it down dollar for dollar, number for number for you before next month.
Okay. I think it's probably a good idea considering what happened last year.
Yeah, it certainly provides us a firewall. I mean, obviously, and we don't want to speak to cyber attacks, but and we do. I did have some very real conversations with All Covered regarding that. They're responsible for backing up the entire network. They're responsible for getting us back online. And usually, much like we saw last year, where it was about 3 days to get back online, it's going to be in that 24 to 72 hour range. The difference is that being on our own network, being on our own backbone, if you will, if an attack happens anywhere in Jackson and Hillsdale County other than JPS, we keep moving forward.
Thank you.
Yep. Are there any other questions? All right, that's my all covered proposal. And again, please anticipate that I'll bring that for a motion next month.
Okay, 23, 24, 48, city recreation millage.
All right, this is just for information purposes. We run the Parks and Rec millage through Jackson Public Schools. It's simply a pass-through. Every dollar we collect is a dollar that we transfer over. And we are coming to the end. I think the last time we did this might have been 2018. 2014? 2004, no, 2004, I apologize. They're anticipating coming back for renewal in 14. And we'll get there, 10 years. 2014, they did the millage. And it was for $0.5 at that time. My understanding is just simply living with cost escalations of running programs. I think they're going to ask for $0.75 but don't quote me on that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring ballot language and the exact mill number to the board in January. And my anticipation is that the board would authorize that election for August of 2024. This, again, this is how Parks and Recs is funded. So at this time, I'm not asking for any action. I don't really have anything. This is just what I've been led to believe and where we're going with it. I think that they've got a Parks and Rec committee, Friends of Parks and Rec meeting, I don't know, early part of January. So Ms. Acton-Dahl, you have a question?
So is this a county-wide millage?
No, it's
City?
City. It's just for city
Oh.
Parks and Rec.
Oh, so I don't live in the city, so. Okay, I'm just curious.
It's levied on everyone in JPS district.
Oh, in the
Because-
district. Okay,
Because
that's what
it's
I wanted to know.
we levy the millage. So
Okay.
it's just a pass-through. This is one of those partnerships we've had, and we've had it, I couldn't even begin to tell you, since 1998, I think, somewhere in there.
So when
But-
you say pass through, does that mean we get to use the?
So
what
it
does that
just,
mean?
it's money we collect and then send directly to them.
Oh,
So
okay.
we don't benefit from the dollars associated with it, other than our students benefit from the programming. Our community benefits from
Okay.
Parks and Rec.
Okay, I
So-
get it. Okay, thank you.
So again, I'm anticipating the current millage rate is a half a mil. I think, Derek, you might be able to inform, I think
It
they were
used to
looking.
bring
for
in
three-quarter.
about $540,000 a year a decade ago. I think now it brings in about 670,000. I mean, the intent of it is to help subsidize some of the programming for some of the like youth and seniors across JPS through like centralizing the administration and programming at the city that already kind of operates Parks and Recreation. So those that live in the district get discounted Parks and Recreation services like access to facilities, things like that. The city in turn has like expanded programming. A lot of the programming at the renovated MLK Center is the programming is funded by the millage. So kids are able to, get football, new helmets, equipment, uniforms without having to pay for it as they do in other cities where they, huge cost, huge barrier for a lot of kids that don't have many means. So for $15 to be able to play soccer for a whole season or football or whatever is pretty incredible opportunity for a lot of kids and frankly, seniors across the community.
So again, my anticipation is that at the January meeting, I'll be bringing ballot language. I believe Kelly Hoover from City Parks and Rec will be here to give a presentation. She can certainly help answer questions. And then I'm not going to ask the board to vote on this prior to our February meeting. So we'll talk about it in January. We'll vote on it in February. That'll give us plenty of time to ask more questions along the way. The other piece, and this has nothing to do with the city rec millage, but I am anticipating that in August of '24, we will also go back for our operating millage. Remember that this is the 18 mills that's levied on non-homestead and businesses throughout our community. We typically levy that. I think the last time was in 2019, 2020. It's been a few years, but the reality is that it trickles down. It has a rollback every year. And we have to then go back out and ask for that operating millage to be renewed. It'll be at no cost increase to what we're paying today, and it will simply be a measure of on non-homestead and businesses. That's where that operating millage falls into. Apologize, I'm facing away from my microphone. Did I answer everybody's questions on City Rec? If I did, then I don't have anything else for discussion. All right. Can I beg a favor, please, if I could, for action items? Ms. Hamilton, you pulled the human resource item 232444, and if you don't mind, I'd like to actually start with that one in the action item column. And the reason I say that is because there's a holiday band concert starting at 7 p.m. and Jessica Carter's got a student down there playing. So we want to make certain that we can get this accomplished and kick her loose in time to go also be mom. With that being said, Pam, I turn it back over to you for human resources, and if we could call for a motion.
I call for a motion regarding human resources, and it's number 232444. So move, support?
Support.
Discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Ms. Hamilton.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Hamilton.
So some things that I think the board needs to be aware of and to start considering, at least some things that I'm concerned about with our resignations and even retirees. I'm really concerned about so many individuals resigning halfway through the school year. In my mind, I can't imagine so many people going through all the effort that it should take to become a teacher here at JPS, and then within a very short time of being here, choosing to leave. I don't think there's that many marriages and whatever else excuses that we may hear as to why people are leaving. So I'm just concerned about that. Not especially, but also even our retirees. We've got individuals being here 24 and a half years, 28 and a half years, and then choosing to leave in the middle of the school year. With that level, those number of years, of all the teachers should understand the importance of consistency for the students' school year. So for them to choose to leave in the middle of the year, I'm really concerned about. The other thing that I want to talk about with this that I think, that Libby and I have consistently talked about was the exit interviews. Thank you, Jessica, for getting the exit interviews. I've had opportunity for different community members to reach out and talk about their experience with or not with exit interviews, and comparing their conversations with what is on the paper is concerning for me. Specifically, we have an exit interview that was shared, and we didn't share names, but there was enough identified information from the individual to let me know that the information that was shared on the exit interview was false. It was deceptive. It was false representation. I don't know who did that, just so you know. But this person was not even offered an exit interview, and yet her information was on the exit interview. What's concerning about that is, one, if that's a practice that we're doing, and something that we're willing to do, one, I don't know why we need to falsify exit interviews. I don't know why that would be a thing that we would do. But then two, we shouldn't have a practice like that. I'm thinking about Joni's comment regarding transparency, that part of her comment. This board should have nothing to hide. Our administration should have nothing to hide. We should not have to hide behind exit interviews, falsification of them. We should be willing to put down or not put down whatever's being said. We should be offering them to everyone, because this person whose information was included on this exit interview was not even offered an exit interview. So I'm just concerned. I really wish that we as a board would choose to, choose a third party exit interview group, somebody else who's not, here with us, because before Jessica was doing them, and again, no, Jessica, I don't know who did this stuff, but I know that Jeff is saying that you are conducting them. But before Jessica was conducting them, Jeff was conducting them, and many people are leaving. And it's hard to sit in front of a person that you're choosing to leave from, and then and one, even give them an interview, and then two, be honest about that interview. I really think if we want to see a true reflection of what's actually happening here at JPS, where we can explain why we have, why our revolving door is just moving so fast with these in and out, teachers, et cetera, that we should be conducting exit interviews through third-party groups. But I wanted to mention that because it really concerned me that information was shared on this exit interview as if this person had been offered an interview and had given the interview, when in fact she had not even been offered the interview, and the information on there was not something that she shared. That means that we're assuming, and that's a falsification, and I'm just really concerned about that. Thank you.
Jessica, real quick, you falsify any information on that?
Of course not.
Thank you very much.
So I'm gonna clarify because I think it's important.
I believe
Like I said,
you've asked your
Jessica,
question
I'm
and
not
made your comment.
accusing you, you know that,
No.
but it's really important for the community to
You did.
understand.
You said in public.
It's
into a
important for the
microphone that
community to
Jessica lied.
understand, Jeff, I'm not done.
Well, you
It
were
is-
done.
Jeff, I'm not done now. I'm not done now. It's really important for the
Ma-
community to understand
You have not
that
been
there was
recognized
information
again,
that
Ms.
was
Hamilton.
included on this exit interview that was not obtained from this individual. So I don't know how it got on there, but I do know that when we asked about exit interviews on last month, I specifically asked about 2 individuals who were on last month's agenda. I said, did we get exit interviews from them? We said, yes, we did. Then we said, well, can you share that exit interview with us? We shared that exit interview information with us. I looked at the exit interview, the information that was shared on there. Like I said, there was enough descriptive information on there to relate directly to this person. This person reached out to me and said I was not even offered an exit interview at all. And yet my information is on this, you know, I knew because the information was on there. So you weren't even offered one at all. How does your information get on there? So I don't know who put it on there, but it's on there. And that's false information. That's a false representation of an exit interview. That's all I'm saying. And we should not be allowing that to happen. And way for that not to happen would be for us to have third-party exit interviews. Thank you.
Jessica, I'm going to ask you one more time, please. At any time, did you falsify any information associated with any exit interview?
Nope, I wouldn't do that.
All right, we have a motion on the table to, and a second. All in favor?
Just kind of educational question here.
Yeah.
Madam Chair. For the exit interview process, I'm guessing there's a reason why there's anonymity here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The answer to your question, Mr. Dobies, is because what we're collecting is the information about why an employee is leaving, when they were seeking to leave, or when they first thought about leaving, what we could do to retain them as an employee, what challenges we had with employment that when they were here, and what we could have done to keep them here longer. We're actually looking at the data. Ms.
Yeah.
Carter, I guess you want to.
Yeah, I will just say too that in my HR training, when I became SHRM certified, it was recommended that you do scrub any kind of personal information like that. You take off any sort of names, if there were any other personal identifier, anything, address, anything you put on that
And
is
there's
white.
definitely some names of that whoever's submitting this stuff is identifying, but I mean, it does look like there's a range of different reasons of someone
Yeah, there are tons.
hitting certain ages, made a different career decision, offered a different position that wanted to try that out. Some of these are their kids moved away and they wanted to, retire and be closer to their kids. Some of it is, disputes with supervisors. Yeah, sure. But I don't see ones like we're moving to Marquette. I don't see a pattern. I guess we could maybe graph out some of this stuff in a more cohesive way, but just taking a look through this stuff, it's
The reasons are just about as
variety.
diverse as our student body. And one of the things that I learned when I was here a few years ago. Pardon me? Oh, I'm sorry, Derek, were you finished?
Yeah,
Oh, are you sure?
sure.
Okay.
You're the boss.
A lot of times I discovered that if it wasn't anonymous, people are less apt to be really, really truthful or honest or really put themselves out there because they don't want anybody else to know their business. And that's very, very, very understandable. They also often come back and they wouldn't want to have anything hanging over that had their name attached to it. Anonymity is the protocol in every district I've ever had any contact with, in any business that I've had contact with. Anonymity is expected when you're doing anything with HR and employees. Okay.
What I don't understand is how did this information get on the exit interview if the woman was never interviewed and made that comment to?
And did it really?
Pardon?
And did it? Was it something that was like before and just commented and mentioned?
Ms. Brown, a very simple answer to your question might be that the individual you think you are looking at might not be the individual who gave that particular response.
Okay. Here we go. Yeah.
I do think that there should be a third party doing the exit interviews. I was a teacher for quite a few number of years here at Jackson Public, and I do know as for a fact, being the union president also, that a lot of people are just afraid to say why they're leaving. They're still, even though they are leaving, if they're still going to be working for a month, they're afraid that if they say it, that they'll be fired within the day. So I think that a third party would be very beneficial somebody that doesn't know, any ins and outs and what's happened in terms of any conflict that people have had, and they can just come and give an objective opinion. So
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a,
Sorry, another question. Is this required?
what?
Is an exit interview required?
No, it's just considered good business and good
Sure.
PR and,
I'm just like, for those that are leaving, that are fearful of some sort
You
of.
can't legally require exit interviews, but it is part of our offboarding process. And if they don't want to do exit interviews and a number don't, we ask them to please send a detailed letter of resignation, which sometimes they will and sometimes they won't.
Okay. And then what's our attrition rate, I guess? Annually, or, ballpark?
I noticed that we are having some comebacks. One of
Yeah,
them's
I mean,
on this particular.
Actually, two of them are, Pam. We
Two
have
of them are on
two
this particular
return.
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, like, across the state, it's been high as well, so.
It is, and the teaching profession it has not been encouraging to a lot of new students. That makes me very sad, because what a difference you can make in the life or in the community period.
I'll have Jessica put together a multi-year attrition
Attrition?
rate so you can have it in front of you.
Okay, maybe how it stacks up at the state level. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, all in favor? We did this.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, now we're on 23-24-52 budget agreement, and Jeff. Amendment, I'm sorry.
Yeah, budget amendment. All right. So Marcus is not here, so I will share with you kind of the update on our first amendment. Remember, we passed our budget back in June 30th, and we are, midway through the year, so we want to see how we're doing. A couple things that are up, and both expenses and revenue. So revenue is up from 75,900,000 up to 79 million. A big chunk of that you're going to see is in our state sources. Remember, we saw a significant increase in our per pupil allocation, and we did not know that going into the year, so we budgeted relatively flat, and you can see kind of the results of that. The other piece that's up is obviously spending. Expenditures are up 72.6 to 78.042, and there are some pieces in there that are rollovers from last year. Marcus very specifically calls out, if you remember, we purchased some textbooks, we purchased some playground equipment, and some of those purchases were authorized in the end of last year, but not actually realized. In other words, we didn't take receipt and or pay out the bills until after July 1. And then there's some additional increases in retirement and health insurance, and then obviously salary schedule increases across the board. So just some pieces that you'll be able to see some highlights in here specific to where kind of those revenue and expenditures are. This is our first blush at it. We are, obviously it does help. I'd like to have been up more students, but we were able to add some students this year. We were able to add 25 FTE, and that's better than losing 25 FTE. It's essentially flat, though. It doesn't provide a significant change, but it certainly is better than the alternative. So at this time, I would recommend the adoption of the 23-24-1 budget amendment. And then remember that we'll be back again in March with our tracking to make certain that we're in line with where our spending is at, and we'll know where we are aiming to finish for the year. Currently, again, Marcus is expecting that we will add about $1.2 million to the fund balance this year, and again, it's not always easy to do. So I tip my hat to Marcus and his entire department.
So moved.
Support.
Aye. Oops. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Sorry. You all have a copy of that. I'll go through it briefly. After our work session, this is the resulting evaluation numbers. For governance and board relations, it was a 3.43 out of 4. And a couple of comments that came to me. The relationship between the superintendent and the school board has continued to be productive, professional, and proactive. He continues to build strong relationships with the board, actively engages members, and he always makes himself available. If you have a complaint, a question, a clarification, he's remained a source of current information regarding progress in all areas of the district. I really have appreciated being able to get notifications from him before we see it in the newspaper or the state law journal or something that comes out with those things in it. Community relations. Superintendent received a 3.54 out of 4. Superintendent Beal continues to excel at being accessible to the community through many platforms, including but not limited to social media, digital media, live news and radio, office visits and phone calls. He makes a point of attending as many district and local events as his schedule will allow. And he is well known for his 100% commitment to each JPS student. The success of the continuous communication around the bond development has helped boost the image of JPS as a district actions partner with the overwhelming support of the community. And they are able to address need-based bond initiatives. Under Superintendent Beal's leadership, the enrollment has increased more than any other district, and Superintendent has plans for more direct input from students, which will help the board get yet another community perspective. Staff relations, 3.44 out of 4. The staff, faculty, and administration members appear to be overwhelmingly engaged throughout the district. I don't think we have a single meeting without hearing of all sorts of initiatives that are being done within different schools, within the administration building, with parent groups. He actively seeks staff input and creates methods for staff to be involved in decision-making and develops and builds the building and district goals. Under his leadership, individual responsibilities have been very well defined in each building, as well as within his cabinet. He works with union leadership to build relationship with staff groups, and he has regular and purposeful, not just wandering around aimlessly, purposeful visits to buildings and classrooms, and he has made that a priority. The next area, business and finance, 3.83 out of 4. This area continues to be a district strength and on a strong incline year after year. Plant Moran, once again, delivered very positive analysis of the financial status of the district recently. Under Superintendent Beal's leadership, CFO Marcus Leon and the Finance Committee have managed to operate the JPS district within budget constraints and deliver a much healthier fund balance. I've never, in all the years I've been involved in this district, seen us with a fund balance the extent we have right now. Day-to-day operations in coordination with the ongoing bond construction efforts have proceeded smoothly, which attests to the healthy operational function of the district. Not only is the huge bond project right on track financially, despite the rise in the price of construction materials, but the fund balance is healthy and student enrollment is increasing. And I know I mentioned this last year, I've got to mention it again this year. The district has seen another year in which it did not have to borrow funds to cover expenses during the time between the start of school and the release of state aid funding. We have lots and lots of bills from the end of the school year and into the beginning of the school year. Yet the state aid funds are not released until several paydays and several expenses, but just starting school. So it has been wonderful not to have to incur that excessive interest by borrowing and then paying back when the school aid fund comes in. This has saved thousands of dollars in interest charges. His out-of-the-box planning has been noticed by several leaders in the Jackson community, and the support for JPS among alumni groups in the community is at an all-time high. And we all know the new athletic facility that was donated by Al Glick, actually the Glick foundation or whatever they want to call it, but it was Al Glick that was really, really supportive and pushed for this. Said that he was so impressed by the way the Jackson community rose to meet the needs of the district that he wanted to be part of it by providing the new complex. Both the athletic complex and the new natatorium are being widely used within the community. Superintendent Beal's financial management has brought JPS to a new level of excellence. Instructional leadership, 3.63 out of 4. He has managed to assemble a very strong leadership team at each building that works well with current assistant superintendents and cabinet members. Principals are provided defined autonomy and non-negotiable standards for learning and instruction. School leadership teams are given the responsibility and authority for determining how to meet those goals. A performance evaluation system has been established based on state requirements and is applied consistently across the district. School improvement plans are well-defined and relevant at all buildings, and each will align to the district-wide goals, but are very specific for each individual building. Systems are in place for improvement efforts and monitoring results. Curriculum is aligned across grade levels and in compliance with state standards. Instructional practices are differentiated and personalized to student needs, and technology is used with each student in every classroom. Superintendent Beal actively seeks input and creates opportunities for student involvement in developing district-wide goals and decision-making. The student forums he is developing will be by grade level, elementary, middle, high, and hopes to afford students the opportunity to share concerns, make suggestions, and have a voice in school improvement decisions. Throughout the district, students, even in the younger grades, know who he is and what he does. Okay, some comments that people made. In this, we have a board person, we have a former board person, we have a retired teacher, we have a special ed teacher, we have a brand new special ed teacher who responded. Jeff has had a successful year at JPS and is a true leader, which is displayed in his daily work. Jeff is resourceful and supports students, staff, and parents any way that he can. Jeff has built capacity within the district by having a strong cabinet administrative team. The district is in financially sound condition and continues to grow. He does what is necessary to make JPS an attractive school district for students to attend and for staff to work in. Jeff welcomes parents and the community to be involved in JPS, and it is truly where community comes together. JPS is a great place to be under Jeff's leadership. As a new special ed teacher, I have been made to feel appreciated and respected by the superintendent. He answered all my questions honestly and encouraged me to reach out. This was a very short one. His positive energy and excitement for the district are contagious. Our district would never be where we are today without Jeff Beal. He's visible in our community and participates in more fundraising and supportive initiative than many of us realize. His forward planning, out-of-the-box ideas have put JPS in the most positive position we've been in for years. The next one is Superintendent Beal is easy to access, whether you're a staff member, student, parent, or meetings, providing updates, encouraging questions, and asking for input. Parents and community members can watch frequent updates on several platforms that address district updates and community events that he attends. And this one was, I'm a retired JPS elementary teacher, and over the past few years, I've watched as Jeff has done more for Jackson Public Schools in his time here than ever imaginable, and our district is more secure because of it. Jeff continues to strive for excellence as superintendent. He's a great leader, and the district has had much success because of him. As the bond projects are in the final stages, the budget remains on track. The opening of John R. Lewis Elementary and other bond projects makes JPS even more attractive. Jeff is very proactive in the needs of the district and finds a way to make things happen for the benefit of the district. Jeff actively seeks involvement and input from parents, staff, students, and the community. He is a relationship builder and very approachable. Even students recognize him walking the halls. JPS is promoted through many social media outlets. There are many great things happening at JPS, and the board recognizes and appreciates Jeff's tireless efforts. He is a true champion for the district. Jeff has created an atmosphere of inclusion that has earned him a great deal of trust in the community, evidenced by the faith voters put in him when they passed a large bond program. He does what he says he will do. He doesn't make empty promises. And as a Viking graduate himself, every decision he makes is based on what will make students most successful. And that is the narrative that goes along with the big packet for the 22-23 superintendent evaluation. I would entertain a motion to Pardon me? Adopt, I was going to accept. To adopt the, and you all have a copy of the big one, right?
So
Okay.
moved. Support.
All in favor? Oh, sorry,
Discussion.
discussion first.
What are we adopting? Is it just, what are we adopting?
I think you guys got a copy of it. It's probably the numerical thing we have, the superintendent evaluation, the MASB packet.
We're on the evaluation, adopting that.
Right.
Pam, it was interesting to me that throughout the whole evaluation, the narrative that was written up, that there were no ways in which a superintendent could improve. And I don't care who the person is, anybody can always improve. And the fact that the superintendent got effective instead of a highly effective would have suggested that there must be some areas in which he could improve. So I wonder why they weren't on the narrative.
They were on the narrative because I asked several times for comments from people, and I got one from our board, and then just miscellaneous people that I ran into or live across the street from me that used to be JPS people. One lady I met, I didn't know before that she was a retired teacher from JPS. So it's a matter of not getting comments back from our board members that may have had a concern.
And during the work session itself, even Mr. Beal asked numerous times why he received a lower score and how he can improve. And no one said anything.
And we pretty much all know that there was a great deal of much higher marks that would have made him highly effective. There wasn't a big secret as to, gee, why is he not highly effective? It was pretty obvious. Okay.
One more
anything
comment
else?
before we go in there.
Oh, okay.
Before we vote, during the superintendent evaluation, since we're talking about what happened during that time, we do know that there were comments that were made that indicated and specified explicitly how the superintendent could improve. What's interesting is that while we all sat in that meeting, and what continues to show itself is that what you want to hear and portray is what we're hearing and portraying versus what's actually being said. And that's unfortunate because that's just what continues to happen.
Comments, when they're asked for, are at that point a notification to the sender that it's going to become public. And things we talk about in closed session don't become public. So unless the comment was directly sent by a person acknowledging that I want my comment to be included, it wouldn't have been in there. Just random talk would never end up in an informal evaluation. Okay. All in favor of just adopting the superintendent's evaluation for 2022-23?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, it passes. All right, now the next thing is the employment agreement for Mr. Beal. Pardon me? Yeah. Okay. Okay, this is the same. Now, we all know that Jeff has a contract for several years still in the future. And this contract is the same as last year. It's the same extension of a year. It's the same 2% increase. And there's nothing different on here. Term and all those things are the same. As this term would give it through June 30th, 2028. So each time there's a 1-year extension. Motion to approve the new contract?
So moved.
Can we have discussion on this?
Support?
Second.
Second. Discussion?
I'd like to say that I still have a problem with this. The agreement is the fact that the committee was formed with 3 people. When I went to the MASB conference, they said that when a contract is done, it should be brought back to the whole of the board to discuss it and to, maybe add to it or detract from it, whatever. And that it shouldn't be done the way that we did it, with the fact that 3 people were the only ones that knew what was on there. We didn't know what was on there until it came time for a vote. And I hope that in the future that we follow the procedure of the MASB, where everybody is allowed to look at the contract and what's been discussed before we vote upon it.
Libby, just to be clear, the board at a subcommittee
Madam Chair.
bargained the contract, but it was brought before the board, both in discussion and then a month later in action. So just to be clear, that was the original.
We never saw the actual contract, what was going to be given to you, and then we discussed it.
It's included in our packet.
I'm talking about prior to.
Oh.
I don't.
I don't know what
remember doing
happened
that.
before I was here.
I believe, Mr. Dobie, she's talking about the
Talking
origination.
about
of
the
that.
original one.
Okay.
And it didn't come to us directly after the committee made the decision on what they were going to offer. It never came straight to us where we discussed.
Deb, you mean this time right now, like this
No,
one?
no, no, no.
Oh,
I'm talking about.
Oh,
originally.
originally, okay.
So we're looking at it right now.
Okay, are we doing it right now, though? Are we doing it okay, given it in your packet, so ahead of time you can look at it?
Same as last.
No, I know what it says now,
So
but
now,
I'm saying,
I mean, now
I'm
you
saying-
got the notification, I mean, you've got it ahead of time.
right.
Okay,
I'm saying that. I'm just saying about the original.
okay, the original one, okay. I get it. Motion second, discussion?
Yes, some more discussion. Were you done, Libby?
Yeah.
Let me turn it off. So this superintendent's employment agreement, which is what we're discussing now, still has this extra duty pay in it. The extra duty items, the additional coordination activities that he's doing, I guess, is it includes rather staff, and I'm reading directly from this, staff planning, hiring, discipline, weekly update meetings, and various other duties. I'm curious to know what our HR director is doing on her job, if she's not doing some of these. And then I'm also curious to know, and I wonder, actually you can answer this question right now, Jeff. Do we have, aside from this, an itemization of your duties as superintendent? Is there someplace does that exist or no?
Everything is.
So we don't
contained
have
in
a
that
separate
document.
itemization of what the superintendent's duties are?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, that's all. So with that in mind, with this extra duty pay, the items that are listed in here as being additional staff planning, hiring, discipline, weekly meeting updates, and various other duties would, in my opinion, be things that the superintendent would already be doing. So my vote on this will be a no, because again, he's getting extra duty to basically, to fundamentally double dip on these duties. So it'll be a no on this employment agreement, because, you know, he's, like I said, we have an HR director, she should be doing these things, and then he also, as a superintendent, should already be doing these things.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose the same?
No,
Okay, motion passes.
and that was 2 no's.
Pardon me? Yes, I got that. Motion passes. Okay. Okay, now at this point, board comments? Any additional board comments?
Yes, I would like to give a shout out to Krista Jarvie and the Parkside administrators and staff who recently put on a nice big parent engagement day. It was very accessible for parents. It was very nice. You could come and go. You could come any time of the day. You could stay as little as you wanted, as late as you wanted. You could go to classes. You could eat lunch. You could be in the media center. There were resources available, hot cocoa. It was very welcoming and friendly, and it was a great turnout. So
That's wonderful.
Yes.
I'm really pleased with how Krista has really taken on that building. And she's like the mom of the building, even with the hot chocolate. Mama Jarvie. Absolutely. Hey, thank you. Anybody else have an additional comment?
Yes.
Keisha?
So, with it being December, just want to say to our students, parents, teachers, and our staff, you know, good luck on a well-deserved and hopefully restful and relaxing vacation. We all know you definitely deserve it. You know, the work that our teachers do each day to pour into our scholars and in the excellent way that you do, you certainly deserve a break. So I'm hopeful that you all will have an amazing rest and relaxation for the next couple weeks. I'm looking forward to seeing you all in the new year. The last comment that I'll make as well, we talked to the teachers last month. Northeast has come out a couple times and mentioned that they like board members to visit their schools without central staff, and they've given their reasons. I want you all to know that I'm still hearing you. I've been trying to work out how to make that happen. I've been faced with several barriers. The one thing I'll say about the barriers is that our superintendent's admin policies are on more than one occasion have conflicted with board policies. I'm hopeful that the board, at some point would look into that. But while I'm working it out, I want you all to know that I'm definitely still trying to come. For the past 3 years, I've visited you all mostly on every other Thursday at 9 o'clock. I've been visiting different schools for the past 3 years. That's not going to stop, but right now I have reached some barriers and I am trying to get through them. But again, enjoy your vacation, and I trust that you'll come back well rested in the new year.
Thank you. Anybody else? Nope.
I just
Oh,
want to
yes.
know that I notice all the hard work that everyone does, and it's very much appreciated. I think JPS is a great place to be. I went to JPS. My dad did. My siblings did. My kids did. And I just think it gets better and better. So thank you for everyone for all your hard work, and have a blessed vacation.
Okay, I have one
Sure.
small comment. Oh, Derek,
Oh.
go ahead.
All right. Appreciated being Marilyn's spelling buddy tonight. She needed some help. I was grateful to be there as she couldn't find the lamb. No. Yes, we'll raffle it off. I appreciate everyone that came out tonight, and as a Boy Scout, an Eagle Scout, appreciate having some Girl Scouts in the room, and those that are going through the scouting journey and process and getting involved not only with their peers, but also in their community and learning new skills and exploring different activities and interests is really, I found a lot of value in it that I carried some of those skills with me through the rest of my life. And I'm sure that they will get a lot out of it themselves. Appreciate hearing from Sharp Park Academy, where my daughter goes to school, and she loves it there. And it is exciting to see Sharp Park come here and talk about all the wonderful things that I get to see all the time. Outside of that, appreciate everyone up here. I know we can all disagree. I think we can continue to find ways to disagree without being disagreeable, and focus on the work ahead of us and continue to improve the school system. Obviously, there is a lot of work ahead of us. I think, Jeff, with your evaluation, you have large majority of support of not only this board, but the community in the things that we've been able to accomplish as a district. And I think too often we hear a lot of the negatives get brought up here, but I am really encouraged by the work over this past year that this board has done to really focus on it. Jeff, oh, there he is. I thought he left. I didn't see him. I'm talking about it. Left? Oh, never mind. But to focus on the positives, and I've been talking with a lot of people in the community and people that watch at home that are encouraged by the professionals, the teachers, the students that come to these board meetings and share how they're exploring new ways to educate future generation of Jacksonians here. So happy to be able to focus on the positives while we work with you to deal with some of the challenges that we face here, and excited for next year with the recreation millage, with some of the other things that we're going to do to improve the facilities as well as, find some ways to help support the teachers as well. And share our thanks for them sticking it through, the pandemic and continuing to deal with some of the challenges that reverberate since then. So appreciate everyone. Hopefully everyone has a great holiday season, get some good time off.
Well, now that Derek said everything, I should have gone ahead and gone first. I had everything on my list. I did want to mention the Sharp Park kids, though. I am so pleased when we have a school bring their students in. It shows what they're doing. And by the way, I have no idea how to do that thing over there. And I hope that really helps our kids because I have no clue. But it really made sense to them, and that's what I like. I'd like you to all have a wonderful holiday, and I really appreciate your attending. And I know these meetings run long sometimes, but please continue to support us and support your district and support your kids coming to our district. And never, ever hesitate to contact if there is a question or concern that you have. Okay, thank you. Okay, our organizational meeting is.
Just a second.
Pardon me?
I have one thing to say.
Oh, I'm sorry, Liv, go ahead.
Okay. I just what Pam said, because I love it when the students come and they present for us. It's so encouraging to see the little ones and their development. And I was really encouraged by the Spanish club because their level of proficiency, at such a young age is really inspirational. And everybody have a happy holiday.
Thank you. Okay, we have an organizational meeting, January 16th, and our regular board meeting at 5:30, once again here in the Media Center on the second floor of Jackson High School.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you. And thank you all for sticking with us.